Hey everyone, I'm going to show you how to do an out of bounds image like this one on the screen. The link below that actually takes you to this website with an incredibly long URL. The original tutorial is actually created for using Photoshop 5, and I'm going to be doing mine in Photoshop CS6. So there will be a few differences, and there will be a couple things that I don't change that the tutorial does actually mention changing. But those are mostly just differences between CS5 and CS6. So I'm going to give you a second to go ahead and pause the video and type that in if you want to follow along. And if not, all right, we'll go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and actually close this project and not save it. And then I'm going to reopen it. So I've got all of these files here that are used in the tutorial. And just as a quick tip and an extra thing in here, if you go to google.com and you go to your images, what you can actually do is, at least in Chrome, and I think this will work in Safari as well, is you can actually take this image. See, I'm clicking and I'm dragging it. I'm taking it not over here. Okay, give me a second. Let me pull that down into a new window. All right, I'm going to take that image. Good grief. It won't do it, will it? Anyways, if you're using Chrome, you can actually take the image and drop it into the search bar in Google Images, and it will search and find an image that's exactly like that, or at least close, which is a big help if you're trying to use the exact same image from a tutorial. Apparently it doesn't work in Safari, so anyways, apologies if you're using Safari. You should use Google Chrome. Anyways. All right. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to drag your first image, the thing that you want to be the coming out of the frame, into Photoshop. You're going to go ahead and unlock that layer by double-clicking on the layer in the Layers panel and then just clicking OK. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go up here to Image and Adjustments, and you're going to come down here to HDR Toning. Now here's, yes, it's okay to flatten the document. Basically, that just locked the layer again. Here's where a couple of these things are going to be different between CS6 and CS5, and you may just want to go ahead and play with this if you're in CS6, since the original settings in the tutorial don't apply to this. I'm going to go ahead and make this at 15 pixels, and I'm going to leave the tone and detail pretty much alone. Put shadow at 6 and highlight at 57 like they have it. And I'm actually going to go ahead and take the saturation down a little bit, from 20 to like 15, which isn't much, but it does seem to make a difference in anyways, there's a word, I can't remember it. So go ahead and unlock that layer again, and you're done with that bottom layer for now. Go back into your images and take your frame. And see, this one's already clear. If not, you want to make sure to open it in a separate document by right-clicking and going Open in Photoshop, and then doing a Select and Color Range, and then selecting the white or the black or whatever solid color they have in here. And that'll go ahead and make that a transparent image for you. So now you've got that in, the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to actually leave this as a, what do they call that? It's a smart layer. You're going to leave that as a smart layer. You're going to go Command T or Control T if you're on Windows. You're going to right click inside the box and go to Distort. And then you're pretty much just going to go ahead and play with that until you kind of feel comfortable. What you're looking for is getting it to a point where it kind of looks like it should be going through the car, but it's on top of it. So it's kind of going to be equal with the car, like that, or whatever object you want it. So I've got that pretty much good. And one thing you're going to notice is that, see right here down at the bottom of the wheel, you actually want to move that down a little bit so that it's behind the wheel when you erase it, and maybe up and back a little bit. And that's going to make a huge difference when you go to erase it. Next thing you're going to do, I don't believe you have to do this in CS5, but in CS6 you're going to go to Layer, Rasterize, and Smart Object. And then you're going to go back to the Layer menu and go Layer Mask and Reveal All. You're going to reset your keys by hitting the, I can't remember if I believe it's the X key that resets that. And then going to your B key for brush, and you're going to paint black on here. If it's a little bit too hard, you can actually go in and change the hardness or softness of that up in the brush tools menu up at the top. So basically just going to mask that out. And then when you're done, you're going to go down to the bottom layer and you're going to go to your eraser tool, and you're pretty much just going to erase everything that's outside of the frame except for the front of the vehicle. And that, if you have a little bit of the vehicle hanging out of the back of the frame, you're going to want to go ahead and erase that as well. Leave some of that shadow. So I have my my eraser on a pretty soft erasing mode right now. So go ahead and finish erasing that, and we're going to go back into our images and take the background that we want to use and drag it in here. Again, that's going to be a smart layer, so we can just go ahead and resize that. I'm using the shift key to maintain aspect ratio as I resize. Go with an OK, drag that down to the bottom, and then we're going to go to the V tool, and we're going to link the wood frame and the 3D object that we have. And by V tool, I mean the move. It's the V key. And you can resize that a little bit. Come back in here with your eraser tool, the E key, and clean that up a little bit if you now. And the next thing you're going to do is, and the reason we're going to do this is because you see how it's kind of boring right now. It doesn't really seem like there was a purpose for doing that. So we're going to go in here and we're going to get this totally not appropriate picture, at least for the content that we have here. But flowers and rain, I mean, what does that have to do with the car and the 3D look that we're going for? And I'll show you in a second. Drag that up, just hit enter. It should be already pretty much sized for how you want it. Drag it up to the top. You're going to go to the layer menu, rasterize smart object, and then back to the layer menu, layer mask, and then reveal all. And then we're actually going to go to our blend mode and change that to overlay. We're doing this first rather than the tutorial, which says to do that last. But first helps me to be able to see this. Now we're going to go to the brush tool, the paint bucket tool, which is the G key. And we're actually going to change that to the gradient tool by clicking and holding. And then we're going to come over here to this, the radial gradient. Usually it's set on the linear gradient. We're going to change it to the radial gradient. And we're going to pretty much just drag this from kind of the center of the car. Actually, that's supposed to be the center of the car. Around, and just kind of clean it up there a little bit. I'm sure there's a faster and easier way to do that. And there you go. That's pretty much how you're going to end up with that. So